Have you ever met someone who seems to live in a world that bends to their will? They don't force things, they don't argue or raise their voice, but the promotion they wanted materializes out of thin air. The person they were interested in suddenly becomes available. The deal that seemed impossible smoothly closes in their favor, leaving everyone else wondering how they did it. It feels like they're playing a different game, with a different set of rules you were never taught. You sense an invisible hand guiding events, a quiet power that operates just beneath the surface of reality. And you're right, they are playing a different game. While most people are playing checkers, reacting to the moves right in front of them, jumping when they can, and getting trapped in obvious ways, these individuals are playing chess. They are shadow architects. They don't just play the game, they design the entire board, rig the rules, and position the pieces for victory long before the first move is ever made. But this isn't luck, charisma, or privilege. It's a form of high-level intelligence, and there's a reason it's kept in the shadows. Society functions on a set of rules: be transparent, be a team player, say what you mean, and treat others fairly. These rules are for the masses. They create a stable and predictable system. But behind this public facade, a different, unspoken set of rules governs those who actually accumulate power. These are the rules of leverage, perception, and strategic ambiguity. The architect understands that the public rules are the walls of the maze, designed to keep everyone else occupied while they fly overhead, seeing the entire design from above. Today, I'm revealing the 5 forbidden secrets of the Shadow Architect. This is the advanced playbook, the masterclass in psychological architecture. But I must give you a serious warning. Once you learn to see the hidden structures of power, the invisible frames and puppet strings that guide everyday life, you can never go back to being just a piece on the board. The world will look different, sharper, colder, and infinitely more controllable. If you are ready to stop reacting to your life and start designing it, type this into the comments below to make a commitment. I am the architect of my own reality. Chapter 1. The Law of the Alpha and Omega. The amateur believes influence begins when they speak. The architect knows it begins before they enter the room and ends long after they've left. This law is about seizing control of the entire timeline of every interaction, turning your very presence into a strategic asset. The alpha, the entrance, never just walk into a room, own it before you arrive. The amateur shows up and tries to adapt to the energy. They are reactive. They scan the room, find who is dominant, and adjust their behavior accordingly. The architect sets the energy. Before any important meeting or social gathering, they perform a pre-mortem. They ask who will be there, what are their spoken and unspoken motivations, what are their insecurities, what is the single outcome I want from this interaction. Based on this intelligence, you don't just walk in, you make a strategic entrance, you decide your role in advance. Will you be the unshakable anchor in a storm of chaos? The quiet, insightful observer everyone unconsciously turns to for a final thought? Or the disarming specialist who asks the one simple question no one else dared to? Sun Tzu wrote, "Every battle is won or lost before it is ever fought." You win the room before you enter it because you are not walking into their situation, they are walking into your frame. This mental blueprint must then be translated into your physical presence. Your entrance isn't just a movement of your body, it's a declaration of intent. The anchor doesn't rush in looking for a seat. They enter with a measured pace, their posture open, their gaze sweeping the room calmly, non-verbally communicating, "I am here and I am not rattled." You are dictating their perception of you before you have uttered a single word. The omega, the exit, just as you control the beginning, you must master the end. This is where most people fail catastrophically. They linger too long, drain the energy, and become part of the background noise. Their exit is an afterthought. An architect's exit is a calculated power move. This leverages a psychological principle known as the peak end rule, which states that people judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak and at its end. The architect knows the precise moment a conversation's value has peaked. The moment the key decision is made, the crucial information is gathered, or the emotional high point is reached, they begin their exit. They are the one to end the meeting, leave the party, or finish the call while the energy is still high. They will say something like, "This has been an incredibly productive discussion. I have exactly what I need. My next steps are X and Y." This signals decisiveness and respect for everyone's time. This principle of the elegant exit leaves people wanting more from you, not feeling relieved that you're gone. It preserves your value and mystique, making your next appearance an event they anticipate. While others burn out by staying too long and arriving unprepared, you make your presence a rare, calculated, high-impact event that begins and ends on your terms. Type this into the comments to claim this power. My presence is an asset I control. Chapter 2. The Law of Narrative Control. In any interaction, a story is being told. The person who controls that story, the narrative, wins. It is the single most important rule of psychological influence, and it's happening all around you. Most people are unknowingly cast as side characters in stories written by others, forced to play a role they never chose in a plot that doesn't serve them. Someone accuses you, "You never listen to me." Instantly, they have cast you as the villain in their story, the neglectful partner. You instinctively get defensive. "Yes, I do. I listen all the time." You have just accepted your assigned role and are now arguing from within their narrative. You have already lost, even if you're right. The moment you become defensive, you have psychologically surrendered. You have validated their story as the official reality of the conversation. You are now a character in a play they are directing, speaking lines from their script. The architect understands that power is not lost in the argument itself, it is lost in the silent agreement to play the part you've been assigned. The architect never accepts a role they didn't choose. They don't just reject the narrative, they seize the pen and become the author. Let's break down the mechanics. Them, "You never listen to me." The architect pauses, makes eye contact. "What you're saying is important, and I want to make sure I understand it completely. Tell me the one thing you feel is most unheard." See the mastery here. The narrative is no longer a story about your past failures, the one who never listens. It has been instantly rewritten as a collaborative story about future understanding, the partners who solve a problem together. You've acknowledged their feeling without accepting the villain role, and you've taken control by directing the next scene. You are no longer a character in their play, you are the director. This works in any context. A boss says, "Your project is behind schedule." The amateur explains, gets defensive, and accepts the role of the one who is failing. The architect says, "Yes, I've identified the key bottlenecks. My primary focus now is on rewriting the next chapter of this project to get us back on the most aggressive timeline possible. Can I get your support on this specific resource shift?" The narrative instantly shifts from a story of blame and failure to one of proactive leadership and solutions. You are not the incompetent employee, you are the strategic problem solver, leading the team to victory. You don't argue with their version of the story, you simply offer a more compelling one and invite them to be a part of it. This requires a profound shift in your objective. The amateur's goal is to win the scene. The architect's goal is to control the entire story. They aren't interested in the small, ego-driven argument. They are obsessed with writing the ending. This is the fundamental difference between a character in the script and the author who holds the pen. Type this into the comments. I am the author of my own story. Chapter 3. The Law of the Whispering Mirror. Amateurs try to convince with force, logic, and arguments. They push their ideas onto others. This is a crude and ineffective tool because it activates the ego's natural resistance. The moment people feel you are trying to persuade them, their defenses go up. Masters never push, they get others to convince themselves. The whispering mirror is the advanced art of reflecting people's deepest needs, fears, and desires back at them so skillfully that they believe your idea was their own brilliant insight. Most people are trapped in their own heads. They listen only to respond, waiting for their turn to talk. The architect becomes a student of human nature. They listen not to the words, but to the music behind the words. What is the unspoken emotion? Is it a fear of irrelevance, a craving for recognition, a desperate need for security? This music reveals itself in their value language. Listen to the words they repeat. Do they constantly talk about efficiency and saving time, legacy and impact, safety and stability? These words are windows into their subconscious programming. The architect collects these keywords like a master locksmith collecting keys. When it's time to present an idea, they don't use their own language. They frame it as the ultimate solution to their hidden problem. Imagine you need your cautious, risk-averse boss to approve an innovative but risky project. The amateur goes in with spreadsheets and data, trying to prove it will work. The boss resists. The architect goes in and says, "I've been analyzing the market, and my biggest concern is that our competitors are moving so fast that our current safe strategy is ironically becoming the riskiest option of all. The real danger isn't in trying something new, but in being left behind." The architect then asks questions. How can we future-proof our department? How can we build a moat around our position that no one can touch? The architect has mirrored the boss's core need for security and reframed the risky project as the only safe path. They let the boss connect the dots. The boss, feeling understood and brilliant, will eventually propose the new project as his own idea to mitigate risk. This is the true power of the technique. The person doesn't just agree with you, they take ownership of the idea. People will fight to the death to defend an idea they believe is their own. They will champion it in meetings you're not in. They will find the budget for it. They will become the primary engine for its success, all while believing it was their genius. The whispering mirror makes you the invisible source of their best ideas, creating unbreakable loyalty and influence without ever leaving a fingerprint. This entire strategy is built on a single, fundamental truth of human nature. Type that truth into the comments to make it your own. To understand them is to influence them. Chapter 4. The Law of the Empty Throne. In the grand theatre of power, true kingship is not about fighting every battle. It's about knowing which battles are so far beneath you that engaging in them would be an insult to your throne. While amateurs and pretenders waste their precious energy on every trivial conflict, the architect practices strategic disengagement. They rule from an empty throne. This law is a masterclass in emotional discipline and has two core practices. 1. Starve the fire. Every day people will try to pull you into their drama. They will send you baiting emails, make passive-aggressive comments in meetings, or try to drag you into gossip. These are fires designed to drain your psychological resources and distract you from your mission. The amateur feels an irresistible urge to respond to every email, correct every misconception, and defend their honor against every critic. They pour their fuel on these fires, keeping them raging. The architect understands that their silence on trivial matters is a powerful statement. It communicates that they are focused on a higher plane of objectives. This strategic indifference starves the fire of the oxygen it needs to burn. It makes your words, when you finally do choose to speak on an important matter, carry the immense weight of a rare and valuable resource. 2. Strategic ignorance. This is not the same as being a pushover. It is the conscious, calculated decision to treat a person or a problem as irrelevant. A rival at work makes a snide comment about your project. The amateur confronts them, creating a scene and giving the rival the attention they crave. The architect gives them a brief, neutral glance and then continues their conversation as if nothing was said. This tactic is so powerful because it weaponizes a fundamental human need, the need for validation. Even negative attention is a form of validation. It signals that someone is worth acknowledging. By refusing to acknowledge their attack, you are non-verbally classifying them as a non-entity in your world, a ghost with no power to affect you. This is a form of psychological erasure that is far more devastating than any angry retort. You are not just ignoring their comment, you are ignoring their entire existence in that moment, communicating that they do not have the status to even register on your radar. This denies them the platform they seek and preserves 100% of your emotional energy. These two practices, starving the fire and strategic ignorance, are the pillars that hold up the empty throne. The throne's authority doesn't come from the king always being present and shouting orders. It comes from the knowledge that the king could act with devastating force but chooses not to. This reserved power creates an aura of immense respect. People become more cautious, more thoughtful, and less likely to test your boundaries because the consequences of your eventual action are unknown and, therefore, potentially limitless. Type this into the comments to affirm your kingship. I only engage in battles I choose. Chapter 5. The Law of the Invisible Hand. This is the final law, the one that separates the master architect from everyone else on the board. Amateurs think one move ahead, focusing on the immediate, visible consequence of their actions. The architect thinks 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. They don't just consider the immediate effect, they are obsessed with the second, third, and fourth order effects. They operate with an invisible hand, making small, seemingly random moves today that will guarantee an inescapable victory weeks, months, or even years from now. The amateur is perpetually trapped by the allure of immediate gratification. Winning an argument, getting a quick compliment, or proving a point feels good right now. The architect has trained themselves to ignore this impulse. They understand that the most powerful moves are often the ones that feel counterintuitive or even like a loss in the present moment. They delay gratification in exchange for total control over the future. A person operating on the first level might argue with a difficult colleague to win a point in a meeting. They get the short-term ego boost of being right. The architect, however, sees the board differently. They might publicly agree with that same difficult colleague on a minor point, sacrificing the small win. This appears weak to the amateurs, but the architect knows this small act of support will earn a sliver of trust, which they can leverage 2 weeks later to get that colleague to unknowingly support a much larger, more critical initiative. The architect lost the battle to position themselves to win the war. This mindset transforms the world from a series of isolated events into an interconnected web of influence. The amateur helps someone only when they expect an immediate, direct favor in return. The architect might spend an hour helping a junior employee with a problem that has no direct benefit to them. Why? Because they know the junior employee is highly respected by a director in another department, and their act of genuine goodwill will create a positive story that travels through the network. They aren't performing a transaction. They are planting a reputational seed that will blossom into an unexpected alliance 6 months down the line. They see the invisible threads that connect everyone, while others only see the people. This requires a profound detachment of your ego from your objective. You must be willing to appear passive, neutral, foolish, or even to lose a small battle if it perfectly positions you for the checkmate. The ego is the loudest, most short-sighted advisor in your head. It screams for validation now. The architect treats their ego not as their master, but as just another piece on the board, a pawn to be sacrificed if necessary to capture the king. While others are chasing the fleeting high of short-term validation, you are planting seeds. You are arranging the pieces on the board so that by the time your true, ultimate goal becomes clear to everyone else, it's already a foregone conclusion. It's too late for anyone to stop you. This is the pinnacle of dark architecture, shaping the future with actions that no one in the present understands. You are not just reacting to reality, you are constructing it block by invisible block. Type this affirmation in the comments. I don't win the game, I design the victory. You've just been given the 5 laws of the shadow architect, Alpha and Omega, narrative control, the whispering mirror, the empty throne, and the invisible hand. This is not just knowledge, it is a set of blueprints for bending reality. This is a dangerous tool because it works, and it will fundamentally change how you see every interaction, every relationship, and every challenge. You will no longer be tossed on the waves of other people's emotions, agendas, and demands. You are the captain, the navigator, and, when necessary, the storm itself. Remember the immense responsibility that comes with this power. The goal is not to become a villain, but to become untouchable. Use these insights to protect your peace, to build a life of purpose, and to achieve your goals with a quiet, unstoppable, and surgical precision. The world is full of people who are reacting to a game they don't understand. They are living in a house someone else built for them, but not you, not anymore. You now see the hidden structures. You understand that real power whispers. You are no longer just a piece on the board, moved by forces you can't see. You are the architect. Now, the real work begins. Pick one of these laws, just one. And for the next 7 days, make it the focus of your observation and practice. Observe the frames. Watch for the second-order effects. Feel the power of an elegant exit. This is your new operating system, and the first step in installing it is making a public commitment to your own power. If this video has changed how you see the world, hit that like button to signal that commitment. Share it with one person who is ready to stop being a pawn and start being a player. And subscribe for more unfiltered truths about power and psychology. Now drop this final affirmation in the comments to seal your new identity. I am the architect of my destiny.